Okay, good afternoon everyone. Shalom Aleichem, good Erev Shabbos. We have amazing material today. We're beginning with Pesacheinu Megadim, connecting the beginning and the end of Parshas Naso. I have to say this week was one of the more challenging ones. Here we go. Vayidaber Hashem al Moshe Lemar, Naso es roish b'nei Gershon. The Harakiah HaKadosh points out, why only Vayidaber Hashem al Moshe Lemar? Why not Vayidaber Hashem al Moshe v'al Aron Lemar? So you say, that's not usually what it says. Yes, it is. When it comes to dealing with the Levium, when we counted Kahas in the end of Parshas Bamidbar, Hashem spoke to Aron as well. So why, when it comes to the Bnei Gershon, is it only Hashem addressing Moshe? Why is Hashem not addressing Aron the way he did when they were counting the Bnei Kahas? So the Harakiah HaKadosh says that when they counted the Bnei Kahas and they appointed the Bnei Kahas, we needed Aron because the Bnei Kahas had to carry the various kelim, and we needed Aaron's instructions, as opposed to the Bnei Gershon. Aaron wasn't needed. In other words, therefore, when it says Vayidaber Hashem el Moshe, it's coming to exclude. It's coming to be mamayit. It's coming to say only only Moshe and not Aaron. In other words, the way the Harakiah HaKadosh learns this pasuk, the pasuk is exclusionary. It's directed toward Moshe and not to Aaron. Well, that is exactly how the Parsha ends. Namely, the pasuk says, "Uvevay Moshe Eloi Moyeh ledaber itai vayishmas hakoyol midaber elav me'al purest miben shnei kruvim," and it ends off Vayidaber elav. It spoke to him. The Sifri says to exclude Aaron. So the Parsha begins Moshe, not Aaron, and it ends only to Moshe and not to Aaron. By the way, the words mibein shnei hakruvim are Rashi Tevos Moshe. So that also indicates Moshe and not Aaron. Okay, now it's interesting. We pointed out many times the pasuk Vayidaber Hashem al Moshe Lemar. It appears 74 times in the Chumash. And what exactly is the meaning of this pasuk? Vayidaber Hashem el Moshe Lemar. The word Lemar is extra. The Ramban learns Lemar means Hashem spoke to Moshe ba'asbaklaria ha'meira, in a clear prism, without any ambiguity, on the highest level of nevuah, almost peh al peh. Well, so the parsha begins Vayidaber Hashem el Moshe Lemar, and it ends Ubeboy Moshe el moyed ledaber itay vayishmas hakoil midaber elav me'al hakaporos asher al aroin hoidus mibein shnei hakruvim. And the Marsha in Sanhedrin says that God spoke to Moshe peh el peh mibein shnei hakruvim. So the parsha begins of the supreme Nevuah of Moshe Rabbeinu, indicated by the pasuk Vayidaber Hashem al Moshe Lemar, and it ends off with Hashem speaking to Moshe, also mibein shnei hakruvim. In fact, the Baal HaTurim points out, like the Rokeach, that mibein shnei hakruvim, which is Rashi Tevos Moshe, indicates that the greatness of Moshe Rabbeinu, that he was considered like a cherub up in the Shamayim. Meaning, perhaps that's an explanation. Why was Moshe Rabbeinu zoicha to this level of nevuah that no one else was zoicha to? Because he's ish Elokim. He's mamish like the kruvim shalmala. And here's one more offering. This, my friend Reb Daniel Weinstein shared, that the pasuk Nasoi es roish b'nei Gershon gam heim. The word heim are oisios ma, which is a remez to anava, like it says, V'nachnu ma, what are we? V'nachnu ma, what are we? In other words, in order to be zoicha, to nasius roish, to be elevated and to become close to Hashem, that could only be by shiflus and anava. And one who's a bal gaiva and full of ego cannot come close to Hashem, which is also a theme that we find at the end of the Parsha, where it says, it says, Vayedaber ledaber itai, to speak to him. Who's him? Moshe Rabbeinu went in to speak to him. Who's the him? So the Moshav Zakeinim brings on Rabbi Glatstein Garmaiza that it doesn't say to who, but from the great humility of Moshe Rabbeinu, the great humility of Moshe, Moshe did not want to write that Hashem spoke to him. Moshe said, who am I? What am I? I should write about myself that Hashem spoke to me. Therefore, it just says Vayishma Sakol. It doesn't say Vayishma Moshe Sakol. So the beginning and the end of the Parsha speak about the theme of humility. Haim, there's Oisiyos Ma, that we're Zoicha to Nasios Haroish through humility, as well as at the end of the Parsha, that we're Zoicha, that Moshe Rabbeinu displayed humility by refraining to write that Hashem spoke to him directly. Okay, Rabbi Say, that is offering number 1 for today.